Imagine this. You're standing in a glittering ballroom, champagne flute in hand, smiling at your big sister's engagement party. The lights are soft, the music is low, laughter floats through the air. Everyone's raising glasses to love, to the future, to Sophia and Marcus. Then Sophia stands up for her toast. She looks right at you, her own sister, and with the sweetest smile, she says, "To the people who truly deserve to be here, because not everyone does." The room explodes in laughter. Not polite chuckles. Full, belly-deep laughs. Heads turn. Eyes lock on you. Your cheeks burn like fire. Your hand freezes midair, the glass trembling just enough that bubbles cling to the side. You feel every single stare. In that moment, you want the floor to swallow you whole. I've always been the quiet one, the reliable younger sister, Emily. Sophia? She's the star, the golden child, the one who gets everything first. I've spent years cheering her on, lending money, fixing problems, swallowing the little digs. But that night, those words cut deeper than anything before. This isn't just another family spat. It's the moment the mask finally slipped, and someone unexpected stood up to rip it off completely. But what came next? No one, not even me, saw it coming. The evening started like a dream. Crystal chandeliers sparkling overhead. Soft jazz humming in the background. Tables draped in ivory linen, centerpieces bursting with white roses. Everyone was dressed to impress, glasses clinking, air thick with perfume and excitement. Sophia and Marcus were the center of it all. The perfect couple, the golden future everyone had been waiting for. I was happy for her. Really. I'd spent the last 6 months helping plan this night behind the scenes, coordinating vendors, chasing RSVPs, even lending her money when her credit card maxed out on the dress. That's just who I am. Emily, the fixer. The one who steps back so others can shine. But as I walked in wearing my new red dress, the one I'd saved months for, Sophia caught my eye from across the room. She tilted her head, gave that little half-smile she does when she's about to say something sharp. "You clean up nice," she said, loud enough for the cousins nearby to hear. For once. A few chuckles rippled out. I laughed it off. I always do. The toasts began. Mom and Dad went first, gushing about Sophia's beauty, her ambition, how she'd always been destined for greatness. Marcus spoke next, sweet and polished. Then it was Sophia's turn. She stood slowly, glass raised, eyes scanning the room like she owned it.
And then she locked onto me.
"To love," she began, voice honey-sweet. "And to the people who truly deserve to be here, because not everyone does." The laughter hit instantly.
Sharp. Loud.
Like a wave crashing over me. My hand froze on the glass. Bubbles stopped moving. My heart slammed against my ribs. I thought that was the worst of it until I heard a chair scrape back. Have you ever felt the exact second your place in a family shrinks to nothing? That's what it was like. The laughter faded into an uncomfortable hum, but the damage was already done. Every guest's eyes flicked between Sophia and me like they were watching a tennis match nobody asked for. Some looked pitying. Others looked amused. A few just stared at their plates, pretending the air hadn't turned toxic. Sophia wasn't finished. She took a slow sip of champagne, let the silence stretch, then continued. "I mean, let's be honest. Some people are here out of obligation. Tradition. You know, the ones who tag along." Her gaze never left me. The ones who never quite fit the picture we're building. More chuckles. Softer this time. The kind that sting worse, because they pretend to be gentle. I stood there, glass still frozen halfway to my lips, feeling every childhood memory rush back at once. The birthday parties where she got the bigger cake. The college fund that somehow only covered her. The times I drove her to auditions while she told me I'd never have the nerve to chase my own dreams. I'd always told myself it didn't matter. That family meant taking the hits. But this wasn't subtle anymore. This was public execution. My throat tightened. Tears pricked hot behind my eyes. I was 2 seconds from slipping out the side door, disappearing into the night, when a calm, clear voice sliced through the room like a knife. "That's enough, Sophia. Every head turned. It was Aunt Lydia. She was already on her feet, glass in hand, expression unreadable, and no one saw what she was about to do next. What happens when the quietest person in the room suddenly becomes the loudest? Aunt Lydia didn't shout.
She didn't need to.
She just stood there, tall and composed in her charcoal suit, the same way she stood at every family crisis since we were kids. But tonight her eyes were steel. "Sophia," she said, voice low and even, "you love talking about who deserves what. So, let's talk about deserving, shall we?" The room went dead silent. Even the waitstaff froze mid-step. She turned her gaze to me for a split second, soft, steady, then back to my sister. "Emily has been the backbone of this family longer than you've been collecting compliments. She paid your first semester tuition when Dad lost his job. She drove you to every audition, every interview. She gave you the down payment for that apartment you still brag about owning outright." Sophia's smile cracked. "Aunt Lydia, this is my engagement. And I've been funding half of it." Aunt Lydia cut in smoothly. "The venue? My trust.
The band?
My check. I did it because I thought family mattered. But family doesn't publicly humiliate the person who's carried more weight than anyone." Gasps rippled through the guests. Marcus shifted uncomfortably. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Aunt Lydia raised her glass, calm as ever. "Emily, darling, you deserve more than a seat at this table. You deserve the whole damn room." Sophia stammered, face flushing crimson. "You can't just—" "Oh, but I can," Aunt Lydia said. And then she smiled, the dangerous kind. "And there's one more thing you should know before this night ends. Ever wonder what real justice sounds like? It's not loud. It's quiet, final, and it lands like a stone in still water." Aunt Lydia lifted her glass higher, the light catching the crystal. "To truth," she said, "and to cutting ties with anyone who thinks humiliation is a party favor." Then came the bomb. "I've been quietly supporting this wedding, venue, flowers, even the honeymoon deposit. All from my trust. But if family is defined by who deserves to be here, then I no longer deserve to fund the circus." Sophia's face drained of color. "You're joking." "I don't joke about money, dear." Aunt Lydia's voice stayed calm, almost kind. "The transfers stop tonight. Consider it a lesson in consequences." Marcus coughed, suddenly very interested in his shoes. Mom whispered something frantic to Dad. Guests exchanged looks, shock, secondhand embarrassment, a few small nods of approval. The room felt like it had tilted. Sophia tried to laugh it off. "This is ridiculous. It's my night." "Your night ended when you decided to make it about tearing someone else down," Aunt Lydia replied. I stood there, glass finally lowered, watching it all unfold. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel like I had to apologize for existing. Sophia's eyes met mine. Furious, humiliated, scared. And for once, she had nothing left to say. The night dissolved into chaos after that. But for me, it was the beginning of something I'd waited my whole life for. And the real twist? That was only the start of what came next. So there it was. The night that started with my glass frozen in humiliation ended with Sophia's perfect evening crumbling in front of everyone who mattered to her. Marcus left early, quietly, without a word. Guests whispered goodbyes and slipped out. Mom and Dad sat stunned at their table, realizing too late how deep the favoritism had cut. Sophia? She stood alone in the middle of the room, mascara streaking, trying to salvage what was left of her pride. But the damage was done. I didn't gloat. I didn't need to. For the first time in my life, I felt seen. Aunt Lydia walked over, placed a gentle hand on my shoulder, and said, "You've carried enough. Time to let others carry their own weight." Remember that moment my hand froze on the glass? By the end of the night, I raised it again. Not to Sophia's toast, but to new beginnings. To the people who actually show up when it counts. Family isn't about who shouts the loudest or who gets the spotlight. It's about who stands up when you're pushed down. If you've ever been the overlooked sibling, the one who gives everything and gets nothing back, drop a "me too" in the comments. Smash that like button if you love a good family flip. Subscribe and hit the bell, because next week, another betrayal gets exposed, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching. Your worth was never up for a toast.